Welcome back, everyone. Now let's begin with our first session. For our opening keynote, we have an industry veteran who, for over 30 years, has been advising the world's largest firms on strategy, change, process, and technology initiatives. He assisted Fortune 500 companies on software selection and continues to advise a wide array of high technology firms globally. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Brian Sommer, who will deliver a keynote on experience and productivity when Industry 4.0 meets HR Tech 4.0. Welcome, Brian. I'm super excited. We all are super excited for your first session today. The screen is all yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Sommer. I'm an industry analyst, and I cover the HR and ERP and a couple other spaces. And today we're going to be talking about a trend where we're seeing a lot of Industry 4.0 capabilities moving into the HR environment. I'm going to move through a number of materials here in the next 10 minutes, and I hope you enjoy what we're about to cover. Let's get on with the good stuff. I'm going to talk about a number of different comparisons between Industry 4.0 and HR 4.0. And in doing so, we're going to touch on where the value chains for both HR and for a regular business kind of intersect. And one of the common things here is the different technologies that each uses. There are some very significant differences, though, between what you can do with people versus what companies are doing with capital equipment and other kinds of assets. And we need to get clear about that. And all this is going to create some interesting challenges. I think I got a couple in there that'll surprise you. And we'll also talk about some of the new opportunities that firms can take advantage of in the HR 4.0 space. So let's look at the value chain out there. This is what this would be for the Industry 4.0 or Factory of the Future, or whatever digital transformation kind of terminology a lot of companies are using. And what you see is, if you look at that band way down on the bottom, companies have been able to now take advantage of very low cost sensors, meters, and other kinds of technology to figure out what do they use, what do they consume, what do they emit, and a whole bunch of other things around their business and how things move through the entire supply chain and value chain in their organization. And by getting what's happening is, not only did those devices get very low cost, but they now capture data at incredibly granular levels. And when you combine that with some of the new tools that are out there and some of the advancements in new technologies or advanced technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the like, you can now get incredible insights into what's happening inside your firm and how it's going to interact with other constituents outside the company, that being like suppliers, customers, and so forth. This is not for the faint of heart. This is incredible, the kind of change that can happen, because for a business, you now can predict through these advanced tools when equipment's going to potentially fail, and you can use that knowledge to pre-order replacement parts, schedule mechanics or repair people, what have you, and you can do that to minimize disruption to the organization. People aren't just implementing this technology just for technology's sake. They're doing it because this stuff delivers some incredible business value that helps drive major new efficiencies, savings, and bottom line impact for companies. When you apply the same kind of thinking to the HR value chain or the talent value chain, you get some interesting kinds of things popping up, new opportunities in the what I would call the white space around HR technology. For example, and apologies, I see one of the slides is somehow decided one of the boxes doesn't want to render correctly. But that aside, we've got this value chain where you're going to try and bring people in at the very beginning of the recruiting process all the way to offboarding at the tail end. And there are all these new kinds of opportunities that are popping up. And let's look at some of these, because underneath all these opportunities are a whole new group of enabling technologies that are going to make this a reality. For example, there are some big data stores now where you can capture as many as 1 billion passive job seekers out there in the global economy. What's powerful, while that is incredibly powerful to be able to tap into that, the question is, do you have the tools to make sense of this and to do it at speed? And that's where big data and analytic capabilities, as well as machine learning, can figure out, like, oh, these are probably the people I need to talk to, and they are the ones who may live or whatever within 5 miles of our work location and so forth. So you need those kind of tools. We also need tools that are going to help us, like blockchain, to deliver verified credentials about a person's past employment, their education, and so forth. So we're seeing that coming in there. There's a bunch of thinking about how we're going to do career planning, and we need to use tools that look at the velocity of someone's career beyond what they've done maybe just inside your own firm. And knowing that, is that going to change the kinds of training and career planning and succession planning kind of activities within the company? And you're going to need some algorithms and access to data outside the firm, and you'll want to take advantage of some of those new tools there. You might also want to look, as we move further over to the right, there's a lot of concern right now about how do we improve the level of engagement that employees have with the firm, and how do we create a better employment experience for them all the way around. One of the biggest difficulties in most companies is that people are leaving in large numbers. And a big part of that has to do not with money so much as they don't like their boss. People generally don't quit their employer, they quit the person they're working for. And so we need tools that not only help us find out who are the psycho bosses out there in firms, but also what are we doing to help train these managers and executives to be more enlightened and better bosses. Along with that, we want, you want to keep people, you need to make as many things in HR and beyond as self-service as possible, take the friction out of these work processes, and make all the systems a delight to use, not a pain to use. And finally, we get all the way to offboarding. This isn't when you quit your work. This is quit doing things for HR. This is when you really get smart. You create a feedback loop that goes all the way back to the beginning. And you want to find out, did we hire the right people? And if not, why not? There's an acronym called PURE, which stands for Previously Undetected Recruiting Errors. And we haven't seen a lot of technology in HR to figure out what those are and how do we avoid them going forward. There's a pile of new technologies. This is only a partial list. And this will make you think about how much more work we might have to do in HR to create an HR 4.0 world. For example, how many of you actually pay your employees in cryptocurrency? Just to pick one off the chart here. I mentioned some examples in blockchain and so forth, but we've got chatbot capabilities and robotic process automation stuff and a whole bunch of new technologies that can fundamentally change what HR does and what HR is all about. So let's draw a couple of quick comparisons between Industry 4.0 and HR 4.0. In Industry 4.0, this stuff really took off because of low-cost technology, incredibly powerful technology becoming available, Moore's Law, and a whole bunch of other things coming together to make something really powerful happen. In HR, though, we have some challenges. And the first one is that the same technology that you can slap onto capital equipment, machine tools, and so forth, you can't necessarily do that to people. And there have been a lot of HR technologies that have tried to come up with what I call like mood rings for employees to figure out how are you feeling today, and not realizing that a big part of how people feel may be determined outside the workplace. They have problems at home. They got school-aged children that are driving them nuts. Who knows what's going on there? So what we have is we can't just literally lift and shift the Industry 4.0 world to HR 4.0. We've got to be a lot more subtle, nuanced, and more creative in the way we're going to approach these kinds of matters. So here's some of the challenges that are out there. These are some interesting ones to think about. Can you fire someone for talking back to a bot? Bots are popping up everywhere. In fact, there are a lot of distribution centers, manufacturing plants, and warehouses where people work all day long and never interact with another human being. They're constantly getting on a handheld device instructions as to where to go next, what picking location, whatever, what to pick, where to put it, and then it's giving them their next instruction. You've got repair people who never talk to anyone. Electronic dispatching tells them where to go next, what piece of equipment to fix, what parts to take with them, and so forth. So the question is, if somebody talks back to the bot, do you care or do you do something about it? There's another set of technology that looks at a company's emails and text messages from all of its employees. And if someone's carrying on a conversation with another individual in a country with some dubious corruption kinds of problems, can you fire them for possibly contemplating a bribe or a facilitation fee or whatever, particularly if that's illegal in your country? And that's using big data to prevent these kind of things. But the question is it actually a problem in a company until somebody actually does something? Or can a bot write a performance review for someone who interacts with a bot all day long? Or who does write the performance review, and how do you measure the performance of someone who doesn't really work with anyone? These are just some of the kinds of interesting challenges as we move into the 4.0 highly automated world. There are a lot of good opportunities that we can use a lot of big data to source talent, and we need AI tools to crunch through them. I love how we can use machine learning technology to read and scan resumes or even video interviews and remove items that might tip off a manager, whatever, to someone's status, as whether it's marital status or it's gender or religion or whatever that you may not want to have, or age that you don't want to discriminate against. Chat bots are just popping up all over the place, and these allow companies to really find out how we can make more and more processes self-sufficient and self-service, as opposed to requiring phone calls into HR. And I could go on. You can read all these. But the bottom line is there's a lot of new opportunity rather than just processing like, here we need to onboard an employee or off or terminate them. So what do you want as a company? Not everybody needs the same thing, and not everyone's going to take the full HR 4.0 deal, or at least not take it immediately. There are some firms that are in the far left here that frankly just need core capabilities. Maybe they're small, maybe they don't have a big HR staff, what have you. They just need core HRMS. The next group, the dysfunctional entity, maybe they became a bit more dysfunctional because of things like the pandemic or what have you. And they just need to get back to a better state. And that's not necessarily an HR 4.0 world. As we move to the right half, this is where the new technologies start to come into play. And you got a number of companies who want to try some digitalization capabilities, and they do it in pieces usually, and try and bring it up in stages. And finally, you've got those who are like, no, we're not going to do any of that incremental stuff, Brian. We're going to go with full-blown digital transformation, and we're going to do it because it's going to give us competitive advantage. We're not looking for competitive parity. We want competitive advantage in this market going forward. So bottom line, again, apologies, the slide formatting got kind of whacked here. What we're looking for are you to have a number of different kind of goals, and your goals should be to come up with technology that delights employees, not as a pill or a pain for them. You want to create new processes that remove all kinds of friction and make the employee experience something delightful. And you want to create a great work environment and have, enlightened bosses that are going to make it move, make things a joy to deal with. And you're going to do that with a new set of tools beyond just regular transaction processing. So if those are your goals, and in this super fast time frame, just want to say thanks and good luck with your HR 4.0 initiatives. Thank you again.
Oh boy, what an insightful session. Brian, I could not have asked for a better start. And thanks generously for sharing your insights. Folks, join us for the next session that reveals what HR Tech 4.0 really is. This is really getting super hot now. See you out there.